We like to call it the Supernatural Hour. And now, our hosts.
Welcome to the Supernatural Hour podcast. I am your host, Raven.
I'm Rogue.
This is Doc.
And Chad's here too.
So tonight we're going to talk about the Shanghai Tunnels, and I was really excited about this one.
It's a pretty creepy one.
Tunnels to Shanghai?
No.
It's a long way to dig.
They're called the Shanghai Tunnels. So they are in Portland. This has actually been on a couple different TV shows. I know Ghost Adventures did it. That's actually the first time I heard of them. It was back in the day when I watched Ghost Adventures. I don't anymore. But as I was reading about this, a lot of people say, oh, there's not really any evidence that this actually happened. But local folklore, I think there's a lot to be said for local folklore. And considering what was going on at the time and considering where these tunnels were and just different things, I think it happened.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there's a lot of evidence that it happened because there
Yes.
were so many people getting off the ships to go to the gold fields and do those kinds of things that captains needed sailors. And that's the term, when you hear the term Shanghai, that's where that term came from.
Right.
Go ahead. I was going to say, at the very least, it's plausible, right?
Right.
If not likely. That
I think it's
some
likely.
of this stuff
I
happened.
think the people that are saying it didn't happen are trying to keep, the city.
They're trying to keep
reputation,
Portland weird? No.
Trying
This
to
would make
keep the
Portland
city,
more weird.
More on the up and up.
Right.
Oh no, bad things couldn't happen
Right.
here. So
To say that it's for
Yeah.
prohibition or...
Not in Portland.
And from the 1860s on, I mean, until, we're not saying that people are getting shanghaied in the 2000s, at least not in that way. But
you never know.
yeah, well, it said it went clear up to like the 1920s, 1917, something like that. I mean, it went on for quite some time.
Yeah, I read some stuff about even the Prohibition era where the tunnels had been used, at least, as a way to avoid getting busted with alcohol.
They had speakeasies down in them. They had...
Right. So apparently it was built by some Chinese slave labor that had been brought in. So let's just start it off with some bad juju. But they described these tunnels. I've never been there, but I'd like to go someday. They described these tunnels as like a root system almost, and they just go everywhere under Portland. They were called the Old Portland Underground for a while, and they connect to hotels, basements, taverns, and it goes along a river called the Willamette River.
Willamette, I believe.
Willamette River, and at the time, Chinatown in this area was quite popular. It was quite the center for trade in the area. Originally, these tunnels were designed to store cargo and for transporting goods from like the buildings to the ships, to avoid, trying to get them downtown, trying to avoid 1860 traffic.
To keep the traffic off the streets so
Right.
that stuff could move around and you're not impeding the foot traffic of the customers and everything else. So they had literally these underground tunnels to transfer goods and materials
Between buildings.
Between the buildings and from the shipyards.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the city of Portland loved it because a lot of the business owners had the storage that wasn't taking up their storefront. They just run down. And it reminds me a lot, we've talked about it a little bit, and I don't mind talking about it again in the future, but the tunnels, they're not called tunnels, in Edinburgh, the underground in Edinburgh, it seemed very, very similar. Portland at the time was really small, but the port that was there was actually quite large. And so, these cargo ships, as they came across the Pacific, took months and months. And sailors had a very short window of downtime between, they'd get there, they'd unload it, they would reload it, and off they'd go.
Mm-hmm.
So, they would just be at sea forever. And so when they did get a chance to get off the ships, these sailors partied it up. And you can't blame them. You've been stuck on a ship for months. You get on land.
Go hit the saloon.
You go have some fun, right? So you can't blame them. But some of these sailors would say, this whole shipping thing, this sucks, I'm out.
They're going to bail. They're not coming back.
Right, so they'd quit. So then you've got the ship saying, yeah, we got to,
We got to half the crew we started with.
Right,
and we got to get back.
we got to, I had the fancy pirate word, but I don't remember what it is. We got to put to sail again. And so this is where kind of the Shanghai Tunnels started. People would go and they would kidnap people.
They would Shanghai them.
Get them super
Shanghai
drunk, so they would be drunk for like 18 hours and take them to the ship.
And put them on the boat.
They'd literally drop them through the floors into the tunnels. There were trapdoors that they would literally drop these people through.
And then scoot you on out to the port.
Well, and it was creepy. You'd land on a mattress. They were kind of
very
nice.
nice.
They don't want to
Well, they
hurt
didn't
the
want you
cargo,
dead.
right?
You don't need maimed pirates.
But then they would take your shoes off, and they had broken glass around so that you couldn't just escape if you happened to wake up before you should.
Before somebody got to you.
And guess how much they could get replacement sailors for?
Like 500?
I
50.
heard a solid 50 bucks, yeah.
Ooh.
If you got someone that was really desperate, you could get about 55.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I seen one where
50
they
bucks.
sold actually a statue, a chief statue, and told him to
Cigars.
not wake him up.
Cigars.
The
Indian.
cigars, Indian.
As a worker for the
Yeah,
ship.
that he was a large Indian worker, and don't wake him up, because if you wake him up, you don't know what he'll do, and sold him for $75.
So not only were the victims drunk, but the people running the show were probably
they weren't
pretty
super
wasted.
smart either.
I'm sure they'd had a drop or two.
They're pretty
Yeah.
wasted too.
And pretty desperate.
Wooden cigar Indian guy.
Yeah.
Got it.
So they threw him off the ship when they realized it, and so he actually landed back in some port, and he's up in some museum now.
Oh, that's crazy. So some of the stories said that they would sell them to the British Navy. I don't know. I think they were more on the cargo ships.
The cargo ship's going back to China,
Mhm.
where Shanghai, the term, came from. Yeah.
But it was also
Yeah.
called the press gang, but the Shanghai kind of stuck.
Oh, yeah.
Shanghai sounds cooler than the press gang.
It
yeah, being able
does.
to say I got Shanghaied is like that is a lot
Then
cooler
press
than I
gained.
got press gained. That's more like you're in the gym
Yeah.
trying to get some, get those pecs looking nice. I got press gained.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's like getting swole. Now we're talking about getting Shanghaied.
So you remember how I said most of this happened up until about 1917? I was wrong. I checked my notes. It went from 1850 to 1941.
Holy cow.
Right before the war.
I'm about to say,
Or
were they
during
recruiting
the
for
war.
World War II in these
Right.
tunnels?
Maybe.
You're off to go
Maybe.
fight the
Yes, I
Japanese
know.
now.
Oh,
Yeah, they had other things they had to think about.
Jeez, 41.
So as far as, we talked about the sailors, but later, then they started doing other things like human trafficking. They would grab women and sell them as prostitutes. Children, to work as slaves in homes, and I'm sure also human trafficking, which I don't even like to think about. So, yeah, it just got nasty.
yeah.
Really nasty.
And all the images I've seen or video, I mean, they're dark.
They really are.
Dark tunnels. I mean, there's very limited light coming into those places, and
But they're made with red brick. The ones I seen were all made with red brick. I mean, there's a lot of time that has been
Mhm.
put into building those. They're not going anywhere.
right.
And I also read a couple of places that have closed them off because Portland is trying to be cleaner about it and trying to say that they don't do what they do. And so some of them have been shut off.
Nothing like whitewashing your history.
Exactly.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, and then not only about the time that they, branched out from just men for the cargo ships, they started building cells down there and just housing people in these cells. So there'd be multiple people.
Yeah,
in
they're
the
already
cell.
down here. Let's just put some bars up.
Just people storage.
That's right.
And then the Chinese gangsters would start, the different gangs, they would have their own separate little tunnels. This is this gang tunnel and that is that gang tunnel, and probably had some conflicting gang wars. So they would also sneak in immigrants, they would sneak in goods, products, they would sneak in drugs. They had brothels, bars, gambling lairs, It was just literally a den of iniquity.
I heard opium dens were kind of a big thing back then too, where
I
they'd
can
go up
imagine.
and smoke a bunch of opium and then black out and end up on a ship. But yeah, in Chinatown, that was like the thing to do.
And I guess so. Is that how they'd be knocked out for 13 or 18 hours, whatever? I don't remember what it was, but they were trying to keep them knocked out so they wouldn't jump off the ship and try to swim back.
Yeah, I was reading between the alcohol and the opium, I'm sure there was plenty of sedation going
Well,
on there.
and then they said that they'd pack these people in these things like sardines, and because it was underground and dark, there wasn't a lot of air. And so I wonder how many of them just passed out because there wasn't that much air.
Right. Or even died.
Right.
Mhm.
They said some people would escape, even with no shoes and the glass on the floor, but they were easily found because the captors would just follow
the
the
blood trail?
blood trails
Oh, yeah.
in the tunnels.
Oh, that sounds painful.
It does. I step on one little glass shard and I'm like, I'm done. I'm hopping around like I'm half dead.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how much
Sounds bad.
dark energy or bad juju there's got to be sitting around those tunnels,
Oh, see, I was
right?
going to say, I thought you were going to say, I'm just thinking how many stitches
Oh,
that would
God.
take.
How many foreign body removals and sutures is it going to take? That
No,
too.
yeah,
Ouch.
no. I bet it's just so dark down there. I bet the activity down there is crazy.
Well, when I go to Portland, whenever that is, it's going to be on my list.
So as far as this crazy energy, let's get into that.
Spooky story time?
Spooky story time.
All right.
So lots of people that have gone there because they do take tours. They take ghost tours. I don't know if they still do that, but at one time they did. I've actually never been to the Pacific Northwest, so
Oh,
I got nothing for you.
I've been to Portland, but it was a work trip.
So people that have walked it have stated that they've heard moans, they've heard talking, they've heard screaming, they've heard sounds of crying, and so all of that seems to fit what goes on pretty well. I'm sure a lot of it's residual,
Oh,
kind of like
yeah.
the guy that we had
In the warehouse.
in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that kind of stuff can be residual. But there are some intelligent hauntings down there. And the opinion that most people have of the hauntings that are intelligent and not the residual is that they realize they've been trapped and they don't know how to get out. And so they're screaming and crying and calling out for help to get out of these tunnels. And I just think that would be sad. I would much rather be a ghost
is.
folding laundry than trapped
Trapped
in
in
a tunnel
horror. Absolutely.
trying to get out.
I don't know. For you, folding laundry is pretty much a horror.
It is. Towels are fine. I don't mind folding towels.
Good. I have 4 laundry baskets full that need to be folded for the dog wash.
Oh, I'll do towels. I'll come over and do your towels. Anything else?
We roll.
No.
They
That's
have
fine.
to be rolled.
That's fine.
Beautiful.
Jeans aren't bad either. Towels, jeans, anything else.
Anything
horrific.
that lacks any degree of symmetry, it's not my thing. I'm just
socks? Never.
How does this go? I don't know.
I will never fold a sock. Unless I move a towel and there's a match just laying there together.
Oh, finding matches is terrible.
Okay, back to Shanghai. So, a lot of visitors have just reported feeling a bad feeling. Shocker. Some have said that they have seen apparitions in the area, just walking back and forth. Some visitors have said they've felt a hand placed on their back or their neck. They've had lights go on and off, doors open and shut. They've heard footsteps. So a lot of just your typical ghost stuff that you would expect to hear. Some visitors are warned that their cameras will malfunction in the tunnels. And when they come back up onto the street level, their cameras are working again. And we've had that happen on
Yeah,
investigations.
that's normal.
Visitors will report that their batteries are drained. And then there's one ghost, and I do think they talk about this on Ghost Adventures if you've seen that one. And other people have also mentioned a young boy's ghost, and his name is Joshua. And he's believed to be a 9-year-old, and he was an orphan, and he was hired to empty chamber pots and buckets in the cells.
Oh.
And I thought, that's an awesome job for a 9-year-old. But at the time, if you need money, right?
And he's still stuck there doing it.
Apparently he's still stuck there doing that. So people have seen his ghost, and sometimes he will hold visitors' hands.
Oh,
I thought, oh, cute.
yeah. But don't you think, though, knowing what you know and how to do what you do, you would go and help him to cross over? Why hasn't someone helped him cross over?
I don't know.
Because it's cute that he comes
But
and holds her hand?
But then there's also that, is he a cute 9-year-old?
Right?
I mean, I wouldn't bring him home with me, but
No.
you know,
Exactly. So you think of all, I don't know. This is my personal opinion. So if you're listening and you have a different opinion, that's great. That's the beauty of life. You can have different opinions. I think if it's a 9-year-old boy, he probably crossed over.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And he just keeps coming back to go to work?
I think the most likely thing, of all the dark stuff that happened in those tunnels, it's most likely a type 3. Trying to tell you it's a 9-year-old boy, trying to
Playing
get you
on
to take it home with you or just mess with you while you're there. I think it's more likely
Makes
a
sense.
type 3.
All right.
I
But-
will bet that at least one ghost investigation group has tried to cross that ghost over.
Probably.
You would think.
At least one, right? I mean,
Or
I mean-
maybe the original actual little boy ghost got crossed over in
And now there's something in its
1970, and
place.
there's something else
That-
acting like it.
Right, exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah,
There's
So
all
just-
sorts of
that makes sense.
scenarios we can run with. But
that's right.
if I go there and little Joshua holds my hand, he's not coming home with me.
Yeah,
Just don't
invite
forget
him.
to tell him that.
Right?
He'll even offer to take out your chamber pot, but don't do it. Don't take him up on the offer.
If he offers to fold my laundry, maybe.
Ooh, a laundry folding ghost.
I'm kidding.
He's hired.
So, let's see. There's another ghost there that's actually quite popular, and she's got quite a story. Her name is Nina. It looks like it's Nina, but as I've read a lot of different things, it was pronounced Nina. So, Nina is connected to the tunnel that hooks to the Merchant Hotel, and it actually had a good reputation. But if you knew the right person to talk to, this hotel could provide you with a lady of the evening. And apparently Nina was one of these ladies of the evening. So she was actually sold into prostitution through this whole
Shanghai process.
slave trade. And she became and every website you read about this says something like working woman with parentheses around it at the Merchant Hotel. So there she is, working, doing her thing. And some missionaries came and they convinced her to rat out some powerful crime bosses in an attempt to, get the neighborhood on the up and up.
Gotta clean that place up.
Yeah, so she's working as a spy. And so she says, all right. And, she's not doing this just out of the goodness of her heart. There's a reason for this. So they said, if you are able to rat these out, we'll get you out of this life and get you back into a good life. Because you didn't choose this life, you were sold into it. But it wasn't very long after she said, we're on to this, we'll do this, that she was found dead in the hotel. She'd actually been pushed down an elevator shaft to her death. And her ghost is still there. No one really knows what happened to her, but apparently someone found out she was trying to rat him out, and they didn't like that very much. So these days it's called the Old Town Pizza.
That's where the hotel was? Is the Old Town Pizza?
Old Town Pizza.
Is that
It's-
because she got squished flat?
I don't know.
That's sad.
What a way to view that. Oh, so now it's pizza because she was squished flat?
Yeah. Why did they do
Was
that?
she
Send
Italian?
hate mail
She
to
must-
Doc at.
Was she Italian? Oh, God. Man.
But if you go eat pizza at the Old Town Pizzeria, I think it's just called Old Town Pizza. They report that they feel like someone's watching them. Some people say that they smell a floral scent. And they're just told, if they mention this, they're told, oh, it's just Nina. And this is one reason why we tell you, if you come on an investigation with us, don't wear perfume. And coming from me, I will put perfume on a day that I plan to be in my pajamas all day long folding laundry. I love wearing perfume. I love my perfume. It's very, very hard for me not to put perfume on when I go to an investigation. But this is a story of why we don't do that, because you can sense a spirit sometimes through smell.
That makes sense. I mean,
That does.
sometimes they appear and sometimes you hear them, and why wouldn't you smell them from time to time, right?
Interesting.
We've heard stories of, people that have said, my so-and-so, uncle, grandma, whatever, smoked a lot, and no one in the house smokes, but every once in a while we can smell cigarette smoke over by her chair.
Right.
Or a certain perfume, like in this story. So, yeah, just a little side note, when you go on an investigation, don't wear your perfume.
And don't smoke.
I quit wearing perfume 5 years ago because I don't think that it's good for dogs. I'm with dogs too much, and their heightened sense of smell. I'm like, yeah, they don't like that.
Not loving the perfume.
Mine
Right.
better, because it's like brushing your teeth. You can't function without perfume. So there's one booth at the back of the restaurant that sits next to a pretty thick brick wall that was once the elevator shaft. And they believe it's probably the elevator shaft that she was found in. But they said that her name often appears mysteriously written on the wall. And they can't account for how it got there. It'll just appear randomly sometimes.
So maybe we need to go have some pizza.
I kind of think we do.
That would be fun.
Explore some Shanghai Tunnels, go eat some pizza with Nina.
Yeah, I think we should do it for a weekend.
Sounds like a pretty
like
sweet
Oregon.
setup.
Yeah.
And you've never been to the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah,
so
we need to go.
Never have.
Oh,
been
investigation
there.
opportunity.
See, okay,
I'm calling
I live
for
in
a road
Utah.
trip.
I've never been to Oregon or Washington, but I've been to Boston. What is that about?
Yeah.
Question is, do we have the budget?
We
Sign
can
up at
figure it
Patreon.
out.
We'll find a way.
We've given up on buying our ghost town. Now we need to go to Portland. Come on, people.
Right? We still
Okay.
need the ghost town.
I'm just teasing. So she has actually been seen for over 150 years at the Old Town Pizza, off and on by different people.
So Old Town Pizza's been there for 150 years.
I don't know if it
Or
was
the motel,
The-
or the
just the
hotel before
hotel.
that.
Just the building.
together. So there's
building.
just been people have just talked about it for 150
So it
years
says, if I were to read the notes verbatim, at this location.
at this location.
So.
So not the
whatever.
restaurant per se,
Right.
but the building.
The building that the restaurant is in. So.
I mean, I don't doubt that Old Town Pizza's old, but I don't think it's 150 years old.
Probably not. At least we would hope that the pizza we got wasn't 150
Right.
years old. I've had some from Little Caesars that were probably a good 20 years old, though. Holy cow. She is described as tall. She's wearing a long black dress, and she has a lovely smile. She's often seen walking down the stairs, and she's also seen in the restaurant overlooking the diners as they eat.
Sounds nice.
I would.
I'd
be
wave.
like-
I'd say hi.
I'd be like, hey, that looks like a pretty good pizza.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's as good as the pie.
I don't know. There's not many places I think that are as good as the pie.
So if you're not from Utah, the Pie Pizzeria is, in my opinion, the best pizza on the planet.
It's super good.
It's really good. So, yeah, if it's as good as the pie, I can see her overlooking it. What are you?
I don't think I've ever ate there.
What?
There is now more than one location.
Okay. Out.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we have to take Rogue to the pie.
The
And we
one
will-
on campus.
The one on campus?
Yeah.
We have to go to that one.
Well, it's the original, right?
There's one closer.
Okay, go to that one. Fine.
There's a bunch closer. That's like the furthest away of
I was
all of
gonna
them.
say, they're all
Proximity beats out tradition, I suppose.
Originality?
Originality.
Okay, we got to get you some pie.
Okay.
It's the best pizza on the planet.
Perfect.
Okay. So, sometimes her apparition is spotted beneath the restaurant in the basement, where one of the open Shanghai tunnels is still located. I think some of them are closed off and probably, dangerous, but the one that you can still get into is down there, and people see her down there. So at some point, we need to go and see if we can check this out.
I agree. Let's do it.
So I've got a little side note about underground tunnels.
Okay.
Do you know that there's some underground tunnels in Provo, Utah?
Ooh, no.
There used to be a restaurant down on Center Street called The Underground.
Oh, I've been there.
Okay.
Mm.
There was a reason it was called The Underground. is
They had good
because
spumoni.
They did. And they had kind of the 1930s gangster
motif. And you could eat in a gangster car.
Uh-huh. And there
Man,
was
I
actually
missed
a
something here.
downstairs in there where there were the tunnels.
You grew up in Provo. You never went to the underground?
Dude, I don't even... Was this thing still around?
I thought right on Center Street.
I probably
I
wasn't
think
even
it had
born
closed
yet.
down before he was of age.
Yeah, I think I went when I was in high school. So
There you go.
Yeah, but they had there are some tunnels like that under the Center Street in Provo, under those buildings where they can move things back and forth.
was it for the light rail that was in Provo at one time?
I don't know if it was for the light rail. It was more, when I say more rugged, it was more like just foundations and things like that. But I think there might still be some ways to get through down.
Were there
down there.
mattresses and broken glass down
No,
there?
no. Well, there might have been at one point in
shaft.
time, but
Opium dens. Oh.
but not when the underground restaurant was in. But there were, a passageway where they could move goods and things. I think there's a couple of places on the streets on Center Street where they could, open up those gates and drop merchandise and the goods down through so that they could stock them. Kind of the same thing. So it's not like something that doesn't just happen in cities anyway. I think Chicago's got, they were actually raised like 6 feet or more. They've got a whole underground system. I know Seattle does. There's a number of cities that do.
Well, and then in researching this, I would get a lot of hits on Google of all these haunted tunnels. And so I've written down a whole bunch. I'm talking sites that are like the 21 most haunted tunnels in
Someone decided
Utah.
that warranted a list, huh?
It's like, wow, okay. So we might be discussing a few more tunnels here and there. But
Maybe we need to go check out the 21 most haunted tunnels in Utah or whatever we
that
can
wasn't
do.
in Utah. I made that up. But
I get that, but like we need to do something like that and do a
An investigation
go tunnel
down there.
hopping.
yeah.
Sweet.
You never know.
We can like alternate it with our ghost towns.
Do a tunnel hunt. Yes.
Nice. Okay, it's
Whatever
on.
it takes.
I've written it down.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Last but not least, get your Supernatural Hour swag at advanceparanormal.com. We have stickers, we have mugs, we have shirts, we have tapestries.
I've seen your mug.
I know I forget to bring it, but I use it at home all the time.
Yeah, I've seen you use it at home.
But it's great. It's my favorite mug. But yeah, so hit up the website, advanceparanormal.com. Find a whole slew of things to buy.
If you have not heard, we have our actual
YouTube name.
YouTube name.
We got 110 subscribers at this point.
Yep.
Yes, we
And the
do.
more we get, the better.
Thank you.
But you can find us at youtube.com.
.com/
You just say it.
Advanced Paranormal. Advanced Paranormal is one word, and it doesn't matter if you uppercase it or lowercase it or whatever. But just youtube.com/Advanced Paranormal, and it'll go right to our YouTube page.
I felt like it took a while to get to 100, and then instantly it was just like 110.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and you want to know what's crazy is our TikTok. We had 112 subscribers, and literally 2 days later, we're almost at 200. It just goes crazy. He just hit some certain things, and boom.
I don't even have a TikTok account.
Okay, you need to get one. Give me your phone.
I don't even know how it works.
Give me your phone. TikTok is fun, so go find us on TikTok and like us. And we put up fun videos. We put up evidence videos that we don't really put up on the Facebook page.
That would be the only reason why I would get a TikTok account right there.
Right there, do it.
Okay.
Check out advanceparanormal.com for the sage sprays and all that kind of stuff. We got some really cool stuff that Rogue makes, so go on out there and check that stuff out.
And then we want to do a shout out really quick to Barbary Coast, to Dalton's and Oteo's Restaurants, Utah Freeze-Dried for Pets, Castle's Nature Studio, and yes, that's our castle, and he does portraits too. Portraiture. I like saying that word.
Portraiture.
Portraiture. And to Boar Backcountry Off-Road Adventure Rally. They're really an awesome group if you're into outdoors and doing some service projects. So we want to tell all of those companies thank you for the support and everything, the friendship that we have with them. So stay spooky, my haunty friends.
Love you, Necklace.
Have a good one.
Hey, good night.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network found at radioronin.com. Copyright 2021 by Advanced Paranormal Services.